organized tonight. So as soon as you elect a chairperson, I will hand that the job of facilitation over to them. Do we have any nominations for chair?
Nominate Todd.
Do we have a second?
There must be somebody else.
Is there any other nomination? Any discussion?
Did you second?
I did. Fantastic.
I know nobody else wants to do it.
All right, so all those in favor of Todd becoming the chair of the CVCC SD board, please signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is yours, Todd.
Wow,
Congratulations.
thank you, unanimous. I'm honored. No, it's gonna be fun. I appreciate it. And I'll do the best I can. So let's elect a vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Lyman.
I'll second it.
We have one nomination. Anybody else for vice chair? How about the new person? What's your name?
My name's Andrew.
Andrew, welcome, Andrew. We won't wait on the spot.
Hopefully, we might want to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we should do that. When do you want to do that?
Whenever.
We'll do that after we elect the vice chair.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other nominations, any discussion? Lyman does a great job as vice chair. Okay, all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions? Okay, Lyman, you're the vice chair. Now we get to elect the clerk. We'll finish the elections then, intros.
Yes, you've done that.
Oh, are we gonna? We'll do intros after we elect the clerk. We don't want to forget to do that.
That's right.
Okay, any nominations for clerk?
I'm gonna make Jana. Second.
Seconded. Any other nominations for clerk? Taking the minutes?
No, not taking.
No?
No.
During executive session.
During executive session.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
I read the job
And I'm
description.
part of the executive team.
Any other nominations? For those, all those in favor of Jana being the clerk for the next year, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Hey, Jana, you're the clerk. I thought I read the job description clearly.
Who would start trouble?
I did forget to start the meeting by reviewing the VSBA board organization. Partly do that because everybody here is either on another board or has been on our board, but I just wanted to say that out loud, so you know why I skipped it. But if there's anything in there that you have a question about or would like to go back to, we could do that. And I
I'm good
know-
since Jana disagrees with me.
Lyman, you got sworn back in,
I did.
and have you been on the Washington Central Board for a while? So you have stuff?
2 weeks.
Long enough to
Pretty long.
sign in?
Yeah.
So you were there last Tuesday,
I was there last Wednesday.
last Wednesday with Trinfield.
I missed that particular portion of the
Oh,
meeting.
that's why you're not.
I came a little late again.
And just so you know, Bobby did let me know that she's going to be getting sworn in later this week. So she's still joining us here and just wanted to let us know that. So thank you, Bobby, for letting me know that.
Okay.
Well, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves because I don't know Bobby. I've not met you. We know other people, but let's do that. So, Jody, you want to start?
Sure. Jody Emerson, Superintendent Director here at the Central Vermont Career Center.
Michelle Lehman, the business manager.
I guess I'll go a little bit longer, give you a little context on who I am. My name is Anthony Boy. I grew up in St. Johnsbury. I recently moved back about 5 years ago to Berlin. I have a wife and a family and a dog, and I've been recently elected to the Washington County Union Board as of town meeting day. My first meeting, Patrick told me I should come here, and here I am. So that's about all.
Oh, boy. Okay, so you didn't volunteer. You were
I volunteered, but it's peer pressure. You know how that goes.
You heal well.
What was that?
You heal well.
Thank you.
Great, well, welcome. We look forward to having you on.
Giuliano Cecchinalia, representing the Bear Unified Union District.
My name is Jeremy Vaughn, and I'm an instructor here at the Central Vermont Career Center. I teach graphic design.
And we look forward to hearing the presentation. Thank you. Comment, WCUUSD, basically U32 high school at-large member.
Good evening, Guy Isabel, I'm a member at large from the USD board. Howdy, Barry.
Jenna Osmond, I'm field representative to the board. I'm the secretary.
Lyman Castle, I'm the at-large for Montpelier Roxbury. I'm Scott Lewis. I'm the representative of the Montpelier Roxbury board, and I'm a Montpelier resident. Parent of a couple. Dog. Kids, all the whole Megillah.
Should I go? I'm Bobby Roode. This is Clayton, my newly adopted.
Can't hear
10-year-old
you.
Oh, you can't? Uh-oh.
I can hear you a little bit, Bobby. It's gonna come back, maybe.
If our dog is like our kids, push the button. Oh, there's Jason. Hi, Jason. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jason Monaco. I'm the representative from the Cabot School Board.
Great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, we had some technical glitch. I'm Bobby Roode. I'm representative from the Harwood Union School District. I live in Waitsfield, and I'm a retired school counselor. I worked in the Rochester schools in Rochester, Vermont, and a lot of our students went to the Randolph Technical Center. But I'm happy to be part of this board.
Welcome. Thank you. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yes, my name is Wayne Goulet. I'm a member at large, and I represent the Harwood School District.
Excellent. I'm glad you're back for another year, another exciting year. Jody, do you want to help establish the time and date of regular monthly meeting? Do we want to stick with our usual from last year, or do we do this differently?
What we've traditionally done is the second Monday of the month. If that still works, you can, but you can also select a different date. Time.
Do we move that we can, make a motion then that we stick with what we have, the second Monday? Because all the other districts have board meetings, which is why we're on a Monday, in terms of at-large and the.
Does the second Monday of the month still work for everyone? Let's try it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And 6 p.m.
Yep.
Oh,
Do we need a motion to approve that?
So moved.
I was gonna look at Giuliano. We don't need a motion for the rest of these things. Yeah.
I don't think so. Giuliano, are you our expert on Robert's Rules of Order?
Unfortunately, I am fantastic travel there.
For better or for worse, but we're glad you have that expertise.
I would table the board retreat until we know if there's something we're gonna do with facilities. that we would need that time. So sometimes we've done a retreat in June, sometimes we've done it in August. I would wait, to see when might be most beneficial for that. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, so I'm gonna put TBD there.
Yeah, good. I do like board retreats, so I don't want to forget about it.
Nope, I will still listed as June or August, we'll add it to
You
the.
need me to chair. Be careful what you wish for.
Buyer's remorse.
That was quick.
Infamous quote.
Uh, Looking at committee assignments, in the past, we have done finance here as a full board. We have not had a finance committee for, I don't know, at least a year, 2 years. We could bring that back if there is a want for that, or we could maintain. Okay. Our facilities committee has been meeting the first Tuesday of the month. So we need to identify who wants to be on that committee and if that time still works for them.
First Tuesday?
And I'm trying to think who has been on that committee. Guy,
Stay on.
Todd,
I like.
Wayne, you've come a few times. Corey used to be on that committee, and Patrick was on that committee. So up to you all. If we all, I would say 3 people is good. If we have 4, great.
It's an exciting committee because we have
Is
a lot
Flor
going
still
on.
on the committee?
Yes, but not as a board member.
Right, no, I know.
So if anybody's interested in facilities planning and projecting future needs and that kind of thing, I think it's a really interesting and important committee.
Yes, we're exploring both short-term and still long-term options for increasing access.
Juliano, can I answer your question? You don't need to answer if you don't want to, but what committees do you want to be on?
I don't know. Is that a fair answer?
Well, I'm just gonna make a suggestion, it's up to you, but, because we've been communicating with Spalding High School and our host site, it might be good to have that presence, but it might not, I don't know.
It's
Could be a conflict of interest, so like some
Yeah.
days it'll feel a little,
so I'm the chair of the facilities right
Oh,
now.
you are?
So
That's enough.
I mean, I understand it. I would be beneficial, but there, like Jody said, there'll be times where, I would have to recuse myself.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Appreciate that.
Good try.
chair of the Berry Facilities Committee.
I'm interested in facilities, but I don't think I want to join a committee yet. I'm on other committees. But I am interested.
So right now I have confirmed Todd and Guy. Is that accurate? And Bobby's interested.
Would it be okay if we go through all of them
Yep.
and then circle back?
Policy again has been just the full board has worked through that. Program quality has been Lyman, Jana, Todd, Alice, right?
I'd like to stay on that.
Yeah, I'd like to stay on that.
And sometimes Wayne has also come to that.
Are you gonna be on that still?
I like going to it, but I don't know if I want to commit to it.
Oh,
You can put me on it and I can show up or not.
Well, I want to make sure we have
No, I know,
committed
a
people
quorum,
on
yeah.
there.
No, I like going to that. When does that meet again?
we meet before a board meeting.
Yeah. So that's easy.
But don't forget, the most fun committee of all is coming up this fall. Negotiations. Scott's on it, all right,
Yeah.
Scott.
Jason.
I'll
Jason,
do it again.
yeah,
Let's make a deal, Jason.
So I have Todd and Guy on facilities, and Bobby's interested in it. I have program quality with Lyman and Jana confirmed, and I have negotiations with Scott and Jason. So,
I'm program quality too, I'm confirmed. But
Oh.
it's before the board meetings. Very
yeah, okay.
easy.
So. Wayne,
Jody, you can
do
put
we
me on
have-
the facilities
You wanna
committee.
jump on anything tonight? I think I heard Wayne say something.
Yes, you can put me on the facilities committee.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
That must be us.
I'm not sure about the time commitment on the facilities.
Facilities is the first Tuesday of the month. Program quality is the hour right before this meeting, the board meeting.
5 to 6.
And negotiations is up for negotiation.
Sometime potentially up for
Yeah.
negotiation. Did I come back?
Yep.
You could go to both and then decide.
Yeah, it's really just time commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the day of the week might be important for you. Or
Yeah, I got a bunch of commitments, so it's gonna jump in my wife's schedule as well, so.
Or TBD.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think we can come back to these committees next meeting. It's not that far away. And just double check where, just looking at the calendar. April 13th, and just double check.
And maybe Jody can write a quick overview or explain what each committee wanted to do.
It's in the board handbook, and I share the draft.
Okay, good. Perfect. Jody, are we can
Negotiations. On the model.
Put you on that? What?
That's a good team.
It is a good team, right.
We're bringing in the A team.
They're well practiced now.
So,
Are
Jody,
we're
Can we
keeping,
confirm, that next meeting, we will meet at 5 o'clock for program quality
yes.
on the 13th?
So April, so it's the second Monday of the month, 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
And facilities is the first Tuesday of the month. I want to say it's usually 5 p.m. also, but let me double check that.
I may have conflict on the 13th, but that's the first meeting, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Well, you got Lyman as a backup, so you're good.
Yeah, you won't.
So yeah, it's Tuesday at 5. First Tuesday at 5 is the facilities. Does that still work for people, or should we move it back?
We mean that.
Like 6 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock?
Oh. I wouldn't make
I
it
might have
later.
people actually have a job.
That works better for me. It's 5 o'clock is not really super early. My commitments.
Okay. Facilities meeting, first Tuesday of the month, 6 p.m. Program quality meeting, second Monday of the month, right before the board meeting at 5 p.m. Negotiations will wait until that actually starts working.
CLNA, third Monday of the month.
No, we're done.
We're done.
Yeah.
I just want you to hear you say that.
Okay. Good job. Thank you, Jenna and Guy, for being part of the comprehensive level needs assessment.
Yeah, when do we get the report?
You will get, well, I've asked them for it at the April meeting,
Okay.
because we need to apply for Perkins in May, and it would be nice to have the confirmed board minutes for that.
Excellent.
And as a newbie, are the committee meetings open to other board members who are interested but just non-voting? Is that okay?
Yeah, so just like I send you the information about this board meeting, I will send you upcoming meeting information, and it'll have all of the meetings that we have, so everybody gets it all the time, and everyone's invited, and then you can drop in whenever. We just want to make sure that we know what a quorum is. And if we end up with too many people from the board, then we have to be very careful because we are technically having a board meeting. So we might ask somebody to leave at that point.
Yeah.
We can't be having a board meeting that's not warned. So if we got 6 people there from the board, then we would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Sort of a nice problem to have, though. Normally, the district spokespeople are myself and the board chair. Does that work for everyone? Okay. And do you authorize the chair to sign employee contracts?
Yeah.
Excellent. Those are be coming out next week, Todd. So we will, I know you watch your email, but you'll get them through DocuSign.
Okay.
And if we don't see immediate response on that, we might call you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll figure out.
I bet our teachers are gonna be excited to see those.
I would imagine.
Do you authorize the chair to sign other contracts? Sometimes I'm authorized to sign those. And Michelle's the backup.
That's for the PP board.
That's good. Yeah. Warrants is on the next page. This is just other contracts. So a lot of times I sign off on those. Yeah.
Can Lyman sign if I'm absent?
We have to have it designated. There's a few things where we need on file
Okay.
stuff.
Well, we'll
So.
play it by ear, just in case.
Some of these are not online,
Okay.
so you might have to come in for those.
I don't mind coming.
All right. So we're authorizing the chair to sign other contracts.
Yeah.
You designate a person to sign warrants and an alternate. That has been myself and Michelle, but if you want to put anyone else on there, go ahead. You all get those.
Go for it.
Okay. Any changes to locations for posting agendas and minutes?
Have there ever been any complaints that people don't see it anywhere else besides Times Argus and wherever else you put it? No big.
We don't even have the Times Argus listed here, but we do warn our meetings in the Times Argus.
Mhm. And you do put it on Front Porch Forum.
I remember.
Well, you did this time.
All right, are we agreed to use Robert's Rules of Order? Do we need to discuss the Code of Ethics? No.
Everybody can look through that if there are any questions.
Anything you need to know about communication practices? Remember that when you're emailing, if you email the whole group, it should only be about scheduling. It can't be topics of action. I'll try to remember to blind copy people, but I do sometimes forget to blind copy the board. And that makes it so that you can only ask me. But sometimes I forget that. So if you have a question about the time and place of the meeting, that's fine.
Jody, on that, if I read an article or something like that and wanted to send it to the board to say, did you see this? Is that okay, or is that?
As long as everyone doesn't respond to it.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say, here's something that you might be interested
Do
in.
not respond.
Right.
We do that all the time on our Montpelier Roxbury board, and yeah, but it's
Yeah, you
it's
can
the-
share resources. It's just if you start having a conversation via email, that becomes a board meeting potentially.
Well, that's good to know.
Do we need to review what a quorum is or any of that for the
Half
body?
plus one is a quorum. So if we have a committee with 3 members, then making sure 2 are there to have the meeting. That's kind of why we develop our committees. And then here it's 6 is a quorum. The best board development opportunity is really that fall conference with the Superintendent's Association. But the VSBA does offer webinars and trainings, and there are lots of archived resources on that site. So definitely access the VSBA site for some of that. And if there's anything that the group would like us to do together as a board, we can also figure that out.
Andrew, have you received some of those emails from the VSBA yet? They're gonna inundate your inbox.
Just 1 or 2 perhaps?
Yeah, they're worth looking over. You can just skim it in.
It says discuss local and statewide education advocacy responsibilities. What I would say is that sometimes I will share with you if I'm called to testimony at the State House, what I'm going to be presented, or I share the VACTED VACTED is the Vermont Association of Career and Technical Education Directors, share their legislative priorities. So sometimes I might say, can you reach out to legislators and advocate for this? I don't tend to ask that very often, but you always have the right to take that information and do that.
I remember maybe a few meetings ago, we talked about external communications, and I don't know, did we ever put anything in writing about that, or did we talk about hiring somebody to do community engagement?
So that was when Spark was here to kind of give us a little update on the comprehensive local needs assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And they were recommending as one of the potential opportunities an outreach coordinator
Mm-hmm.
after our budget had already been warned.
Okay.
So we will talk about that when they come in with the recommendations and talk about what our priorities are for the Perkins funds.
Hmm. Yeah, I just recalled that. I didn't know if it would go forward or not, but I guess not.
We have not yet.
Okay.
I would anticipate that that might be an FY28 budget decision. Because we had already gotten approval for the early childhood education program, and that my intention was to use Perkins for that. And so we would have to figure something else out. There are sometimes other grants, so there are time grants that happen. They don't last as long as Perkins could for a new program, but it could be an opportunity or an option.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Is there anything else on this piece? We need to appoint our voting delegate for statewide healthcare bargaining. It says it's usually the chair of the negotiations committee. Jason?
Yeah, I'm just curious. You talked about testifying or giving testimony at like the State House or something. How does that fall for like us board members? If I wanted to testify and let people know that I am a board member, but at this time, is that kind of how we're supposed to do something like this?
Good question. I could, whenever I'm asked to testify, I could maybe give your name instead, if you're interested. For instance, I was asked to testify on Thursday, and I'm not able to because I have a conflict. And so I know that Eric Remmers, who's the current president for VACTED, is going to be testifying. I could, at those times, just kind of share out with the board. I was asked to testify. Is anyone interested in coming along? I can give your name to the committee and they can say yes or no. I think you could also reach out to the chairs of all the committees. So House, Senate Education are working on Act 73, a little more globally, and House Commerce is really focused on CTE. So you could reach out to the chairs of those 3 and let them know that you're interested and are on the board of a CTE and of CABIT, and that might be interesting for them. I think sometimes the VSBA selects who from boards goes. It doesn't mean you can't go.
Yeah, I was just more curious about the process of if I was going to testify and I can, like, for any random thing, if anybody asked, I could testify, but I could say I'm a board member, but I'm not here representing any school boards. Is that kind of the lingo I would use?
Yeah, I don't volunteer for it, I get an email and they ask me if I can come in.
Yeah.
And when you do, obviously, you say yes or no, and then you have to prepare a written, testimony and submit that 24 hours in advance, and then go in and explain who you are and say your piece. You do have to testify on whatever it is they're asking you to come in on. And sometimes that's difficult. There was one day I hadn't even seen the bill and I was like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say. Hi, what's this bill? So it can be complicated, but yeah. We can talk about that too if you want, Jason.
Yeah, it was more just because you were talking about testimony, we were also talking about like our ethics and stuff like that. Not all
Yeah.
mixed together.
I'll have to think about that a little bit. I think that as long as you're not sharing information about personnel or anything that would have been an executive session, you should be good. I mean, if you walked in and said CTE sucks and you're on our board, then that might not look so good. All right. I'm done.
So wait, are you the voting delegate?
I could be. It could be any member who's gonna go to the fall conference.
In the past, it's been you or Alice, is that right?
Yes, I have usually voted on, I don't think the healthcare one, I think that's been Alice.
You voted on the other one, right?
Yeah.
What's the other one?
The VisBit one.
Yeah.
I always get the VisBit. She did the healthcare and the VSBA stuff. So that's how it is.
Well, why not wine?
Because you're the
chair.
But I don't know anything about the healthcare.
I'm designated for the BPUSD.
Can you do twice?
I don't know.
Are you
I think so,
volunteering?
because I think Alice did.
I think Alice did.
Oh.
I think she did too. You volunteer as tribute?
A twofer.
I'm gonna be there, I just don't know if, that's one of my questions, I don't know if I can do that. I guess I'm gonna get to it.
I mean, basically, we get the information in advance, and then this board tells you how to vote, and you go and vote. So, you might be like, here for this board, and here for this one. We'll put you in.
Yeah, thanks for raising your hand on that. And if it doesn't work out, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, right. I think.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, okay.
It's an interesting conference.
Okay, we're done with board organization.
Fantastic. Any comments not on the agenda? I always wonder what that really means. So comments not on the agenda. Does anybody have any comments that are not on our agenda? Review board agreements and norms. We talked about that. Does anybody want to review that? Are you all good with that? Nice diagram.
Yeah, it's at the front of the packet, right, after the VSBA stuff.
Page 11.
Boiled down to just be nice.
Be nice, be respectful.
I would share that the staff has been working on narrowing down the values that we're going to be focused on throughout the center to 4, and I think we'll build our expectations for our across programs that way. And so when we do that, I'm gonna bring that here, and and see if it makes sense for this group as well.
Great idea, they could be integrated into this somehow as well,
Or,
or replace it.
Yeah, it's like Bobby made a comment, like,
I
fifth
know
grade is
she
really.
had raised her hand.
Maybe we should change.
Are you struggling with the sound there?
It sounds like everyone's underwater a little bit.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the heater, which I threatened to pick earlier.
Okay. Anyway, it just might be my hearing.
Maybe somebody in facilities could check on that for us, because it always is annoying.
It might be if Wayne not being muted and we're getting his work through the computers.
Now we always.
It's not readily apparent what to do there.
No, it's not.
I looked once. Okay, how about agenda revisions or board comment? Any revisions to the agenda? Any board comment? Public comments and correspondence, anything, any correspondence?
I would just share that the facilities work group sent off 3 options that they've pushed forward to cost estimating, and so that work group is on a little bit of a hiatus while we wait for that to come back. So I do anticipate we're gonna miss the April deadline for the recommendation to the board, and it'll end up being a May deadline or late April, if we decide to have a special meeting.
I wondered if you talked to David about the progress that costing people have been making.
With David and Cam, I needed to make sure everything was equalized across the 3. So it just got sent out last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we expect at least 3 more weeks.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
At least it's out.
Yeah.
You did that, and it's all aligned. That's
Yeah.
right. Maybe we should just update the new people on the board about that facility just quickly if you can.
Sure. So after the bond vote failed in November, we basically took a look at all of the social media and email responses and feedback that we had gotten and decided that we really needed, people didn't understand what had been going on since 2018 to get us to the bond vote. And so we decided to create a work group that had some members of that and also some of the folks that were sort of detractors online to come in and to go through a really quick process. So we did a needs assessment, which came out with the same square footage of the building we proposed, which I actually was a little impressed by the fact that it did that, but I think it was partly because the work group saw a need for being able to house 450 students. So we took that, then went on and identified 6 possible options, including the original idea of the Baptist Street and then 5 others.
Is that minus the gym?
It is now,
Okay.
but originally we just wanted to, what are the options?
Okay.
Then when we narrowed it down to 3, those 3 were the Baptist Street option minus a couple of programs in the gym and a few of the shop spaces a little smaller than the wish list that they were. And then still looking at potentially landing on U32's campus, even though we haven't talked to the U32 board about that. We talked to Floor and to Stephen. Because of the interest at the legislature around comprehensive high school or regional high schools and having tech centers there, we thought we needed to keep that in the possibility realm. That is a little smaller than the Baptist Street because we would then share potentially the gym, the cafeteria, and some of those resources, so it's a little smaller. And then the third option that was moved forward was maintaining a campus here and a second campus, and this one sort of splits a little bit. A second campus that could be at Vine Street in Berlin, where there is an abandoned, used to be a church school, I think Central Vermont Academy, or a second campus at the Baptist that's much smaller. So we equalized all those out to have the same programming so that we could look at the costs across all of them. So if we were to do a second campus, if it was Vine Street, there would be some renovation done there and there would be renovation done here. So making sure that all of that was in the information that we sent to those cost estimators.
So we're waiting on that
Yeah.
feedback from the cost estimators, and there will be a presentation from that committee to this board with their final recommendation.
And then in the meantime, we're still working through phase one environmental assessment, trying to get that done for the Alan Jones space across the way to be able to potentially do some short-term growth. And that building is included in the two campus model. So when we're thinking about staying here, we're including that to try to make sure that we have enough space. Then we'll have to look at it again to see what is the actual capacity of all of that. And Michelle and I have to still work through what are the program instructors we need and the staffing, and what staffing might be different between one campus and two campuses. So those are still things that are in the works.
So needless to say, it's pretty exciting. I think the facilities team is going to be working hard to figure this all out over the next year or two. And we got to make some decisions relatively soon.
And every 2 years, career and tech ed, oh, Bobby, go ahead.
Well, I just, I'm glad to hear that the U32 option isn't completely gone. I didn't know really what happened, but one thought I had was the governor really favors career education. He really wants us to do more with that. And they're talking about redistricting. So I suggested to a member of the House Education Committee that maybe they consider when they're doing the mapping that we've got 17 tech ed centers already. So that reduces the number of school districts. But I understand from a friend that has been floated before and it wasn't well received. But I wonder if, as we're thinking about redistricting and consolidating, if it would be worth considering.
Yeah, that map absolutely got the work group over the summer talked about it a little bit and let it go. The other thing that I started to say is that we have every 2 years we do a comprehensive local needs assessment, and that is to look at our programming quality and our outcomes and the labor market, make sure that the programs here match what the needs are. Guy and Jana sat on that committee that met monthly since October. They just had their last meeting earlier this month, last Monday. And so now our consultants are working on pulling this stuff together for Perkins, that they'll be presenting that at our April meeting so that we can move that work forward.
Judy, last week, Twinfield met with U32, we saw it in the paper, and one of the things that Steve said was that U32 for high school, or kind of a regional high school, could take on Montpelier, they've already met with Montpelier, Cabot, Twinfield, and Spalding. All of those students would be high school, could be received at U32, that they have the diminishing numbers along with everybody else's diminishing numbers. And I don't know if that were to happen. I don't even know if Barry is even thinking about that.
Yes and no, but it hasn't been discussed with U32. It was discussed with Williamstown. And I also remember that they said partial Spalding. Was that, am I wrong?
I didn't hear partial Spalding. But I just don't know if we don't start meeting with them and having the conversation, even if it's just research, research getting to feel it out, that it could be too late. I mean, if we're not being considered as part of the construct.
Yeah, that means they moved the middle school out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any problem meeting with the board and having us try to find a way to jointly meet at all, if that's the will of the board, that makes sense to me. And I don't know where those other schools are.
I don't think anybody's any place yet.
You mentioned that you had met with Stephen Dillinger Payton, the principal.
Yes.
Were they open to any ideas or further discussions? What was their
It's open.
response?
Totally open to, they are, but I don't, the board hasn't talked about it, so the community hasn't talked about it.
Yeah, got it.
So, I mean, we keep putting it in the newspaper, that, oh, U32 might be a great spot,
Yeah.
but we're not having these conversations
Yeah.
in broader terms yet. And so that, I think, is the next step. And I'm sure Andrew's taking that note because he's gonna go back and say, hey, what's going on with this and what do we need to do?
We can make some waves.
Exactly what I'm doing.
So does the facilities committee make that recommendation, or can the board at large make that recommendation that we begin to have the initial conversation?
Either way.
Okay?
I think right now there's so many moving parts at the legislative level that it's almost impossible to predict what's gonna happen. And we're having a discussion here, we've got a board member, and you've met with the key decision makers up there, so maybe just letting things unfold for a little while might be the way to go.
And they do have a new board chair, so I'll reach
Yeah,
out to
they
her.
do.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see this as a domino issue? I mean, I hate to work in hypotheticals, but if we brought all of those schools together, we end up with 4 empty buildings, of which the public would say, well, pick one of those because that's where you're going or whatever. So it's really a step by step.
It depends. The focus really has been on comprehensive high schools. And so if everyone's gonna land there, then that's also where we're gonna have to land. I don't see us we're not seeing the conversation about technical high schools. If I saw that divergence in that every region of so many people is gonna have a technical high school option and a traditional high school option, I think we'd be having a different conversation, but that's not the way things are going. It's very much, we wanna have it all together, and the reason is they want to start younger and have middle schoolers have access to, but then everybody having a way to explore CTE at different levels. So it's not everybody having the type of programming that we have now, but everybody can either opt for that kind of programming or maybe take a smaller, shorter term, shorter amount of time course that's related. So like Carlos has talked many times about, I might teach a digital photography class here or teach this little piece. And that would give the opportunity, if we're on that campus, to say, we have this program, but then we also have these little foundations level or opportunities to just dip your toe in and not actually get all of the credentials.
I have one comment about that, especially for kids who want to take an art credit but do not want to paint or do traditional art, that they can do photography, they can do film, editing, which is also fun.
And that's the message I got when I watched that testimony in Commerce and Communications. And I listened to their conversation, I don't know, a couple days later. Again, it's all over the map, but it seems like they want to integrate CTE at various levels, junior high and high school. And if there are open classrooms, then there might be a way for us to contract with those different schools to teach courses, exploratory courses, or whatever you want to call it. So there's a way to integrate into those high schools, not just U32, but other ones, perhaps down the road. And that's what it seemed to me they were getting at, but again, they never say anything explicit at those legislative committee meetings. But that's what I got. unless there's any questions or comments.
I'm sure Jeremy and Carlos would love to get into their presentations.
I know, should we do that? Should we approve the minutes first?
Approve the minutes and then go
Shouldn't
straight
take long,
to next.
okay.
Who was that?
Any discussion about the minutes? Seconded, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Wait, who? Thank you.
And then Lyman seconded.
Thank you.
Minutes from 2/9 and 2/12. All those in favor of approving those minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? They've been approved. Okay, let's get into our program presentation. Digital media arts, graphic design. Thank you, gentlemen.
Is it okay if I sit up front?
You can sit anywhere you want.
I just want to be not a burden. Okay. And probably here's one, right? I can do this.
You sure?
Yeah. I don't want you to like.
Then you want your back, well, I guess you won't because of the presentation.
Thank you and good evening. My name's Jeremy Bonham.
Sorry,
Yes.
it's presenting, but it's not for the people online.
How about the one?
I forgot to share the screen. Not that.
That's okay.
Now the people on the screen see it? Wait.
It looks like it's loading. There it is.
There it is. That's great. So, again, my name is Jeremy, and thank you for allowing me to sit here with you this evening and share with you about what my courageous students are doing this year in graphic design. This is a CLNA year, and how I formatted my presentation was to reflect a lot of data from this year and also past years, things that you can see from a CLNA year. What you see on the screen right now is the sort of enrollment of students, and currently we have like a 15.33 sort of average of students. It sort of fluctuates a little bit from time to time, but this seems to be good and healthy moving forward. So part of this that I wanted to present was a little bit about the present, a little bit about the past, and a little bit about the future. So what you're seeing now is that there is the fast forward courses that I offer in as part of like pretty much the main part of the curriculum. So there is a two-dimensional design course, which is that's the actual new one for this year. Adobe Creative Suite, which goes over Adobe Photoshop, Lightroom for editing photos, Illustrator, and InDesign for desktop publishing. We use all of them. Actually, as of just today, we used 4 of those pieces of software to create a portfolio of what we did for term 3. So every end of the term, we create a portfolio. So we're doing desktop publishing. So at the end of the year, my students would have completed 9 college credits, which is tremendous. Last year it was 6. So we're just adding more to this. So it's a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present. And as we start thinking about more strategic ways in which Carlos and I can collaborate and offer credits to students, some of that might change, but I think that this here seems to be pretty comfortable. It was an adjustment for everybody, especially for my students to like take on college coursework, but they're taking to it quite well. So in addition to this is a little bit about the present and about the past, is that we create portfolios for the Agency of Education. This portfolio consists of 5 different images under different categories, such as visual art, graphic design, or sort of like a non-placeholder. And that portfolio is evaluated by other CTE instructors from around the state based on a rubric that was all agreed upon. And I believe in a future slide, we'll see some of the data of like how many students are receiving that IRC. So every student is going to be completing this here, this AOE portfolio in the next 2 weeks. So they're using work that they've already completed and will be submitting.
Do you have an example of the rubric?
I do not actually. They're actually working on the rubric now because I think we'll get that at our tech meeting in May, I believe it is. It's a good question. Usually that gets handed to us the day when we evaluate students so that we all agree upon certain things.
So the students don't work off of a rubric?
No, they don't. They put forth their best designs based off either feedback that they've received from me or feedback they've received from a peer. This is a really great question. I think that they should probably see what that rubric is ahead of time. It's not just completely subjective. There's some like solid things that they need to like be aware of, such as text alignment, proper use of typography, color theory. There's a lot of different things. So that is sort of a moving target. But I think that conversation is had during our tech meetings. Great question. The slide that you're currently seeing is another IRC for the Adobe Photoshop. That is a requirement for my class. So every student gets the opportunity to test for the Adobe Photoshop certification. This is about 33 hours of in-class curricular work that they do. And then at the end of that curricular work, they will take the assessment, which is incredible. Yes, please.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Since they're getting CCV credit, I would assume that the rubric would also be in alignment with what CCV's learning outcomes are. Is that the case?
It could be. I think.
They're two separate things. Though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're different. And also other CTE centers are offering different fast forward courses than what I'm offering. There might be some overlap. Like Essex might be presenting fast forward courses that I'm currently teaching. And I know Hartford is also using this method of credentialing students. So I try to like gather as many different resources as possible and give my students as many different opportunities to like earn a credential, earn college credit, and just like stuff the class full of opportunity. I think that that's the best way to go here. So every student has the opportunity to test for the Photoshop credential, but then they also have the option to test for the Illustrator credential, the Animate credential, or the InDesign credential. So there's the option and time for this. So this is like above and a couple of tiers above and beyond, like what I'm just like presenting to them already. Like they could continually build off the material that I present to them and sort of keep padding their resume, so to speak, and like learning about all this other software. So this was the image that I was talking about momentarily about looking at the sort of pass rate for the AOE portfolio. The AOE portfolio is, last year it was about 50% of the students. And this year we haven't met yet. We usually meet in May, so that's to be determined. And likewise for the Adobe certification in visual design, that we haven't tested for. We'll probably be testing for that right near the end of April. So I will have some information about how many students have received the Adobe Photoshop credential. At the top of this slide, it shows that for the fast forward courses, everybody is working through the curriculum and passing through that. And a pass grade is a C for CCV. So if they're making that, that's a pass. And that's everybody's making the marks in that regard. I think the AOE portfolio, the grade for this is above a C, just because like this should be college ready material that is ready to go into a portfolio. So the bar is a little bit higher there. But overall, I'm really proud of my students and what they've done for the past couple of years. Really proud. Strengths and obstacles. I wanted to put this slide in here because I'm always thinking about ways to improve and to like add more content to my curriculum. We're exceeding the requirements of 50% of the program quality measures. That's really just offering the CCV courses through Fast Forward and the AOE portfolio. That in itself is already meeting the mark, but I'm exceeding that. And I want to exceed that because I want my students to be successful and have these opportunities, and I can facilitate it. So why not do it? Do as much as we can. So some of the obstacles and how I plan for the next year is additional outreach to sending schools. I think that that's always going to be a point of improvement is communication with our sending schools, with other students, with other faculty members at the other sending schools about what we offer here. Another mention that was that's here that has exceeded my expectations was streamlining the voucher process in the CCV application. With the help of Abby Allen here at CVCC, I was able to sort of streamline that process so that my students weren't burdened about the whole process of how to log into an account, how to retrieve a voucher, how does that voucher apply to CCV credits. It's kind of a cumbersome process, but we have established a sort of process that works for us, and that's a great moment of success. We're also trying to continually update ourselves, Carlos and myself, on the changing needs that the Agency of Education has for the portfolio and for requirements for program quality. So we're always trying to meet the mark in that regard. And preparing students earlier in the year for Adobe certification. What that sort of entails is talking about the credentials early in the year, talking about Adobe Photoshop and presenting that early in the year, because that's the credential they'll be testing for, so that they will have time to do this over the course of multiple months, becoming like familiar with the software as if the boys at the back of their hand. It's like really giving them the time to like feel confident about using this and giving them the opportunity to. So I wanted to just go over the overview of, and show you some artwork from my students, which is actually kind of the fun part. I mean, I wanted to do the statistical part, which is a little, it's interesting to me. I like that. So our first term, we focused primarily on digital photography using DSLR cameras and focusing on the curriculum set by CCV. So we're thinking about composition, balance, contrast of value, vantage point, and also like motion of how it may be captured in various ways. And also thinking here about visual storytelling, like how does an image or the viewer feel like they're moving through a composition? Are they just, is it a stagnant image that's just being presented to you? Or is there some sort of mystery that's being unveiled here, that we're sort of moving and traversing through the space? Additionally, we talk quite a bit about color theory on how it applies to photography, but even more so how it pertains to graphic design. So what we're seeing here are different visual elements and artifacts from which they have created that are using duotone, which is sort of, it's like a black and white image, but instead of black, they're using a color, and it's sort of gradations of that color towards white is what you're seeing in the lower right-hand corner. On my left-hand corner, if you're looking at me. So they're like exploring different elements of like using Photoshop to manipulate a photo, but trying to do so with great fidelity. One other thing that was new for this year is that my class of students did not really know each other all that well, which whenever you're working with a new group of students, you want them to like come together and like get to learn about each other and know where they're from, what school they're from. And what I've done for this assignment, which was based on the photography of Daewon Bay and their schoolhouse photos, celebrating students and letting students photograph themselves and allowing students to be a little vulnerable rather than like trying to like strike a pose, but like letting their guard down. So the students would interview each other, but have a camera while that's taking place. So they're talking to each other and taking exposures periodically so their guard's down. They're not trying to look cool. They're trying to excavate something new and personal from them. That's really hard. And actually it's pretty hard to be on that side of the camera when it's pointing towards you, because usually we're all very self-conscious about how we look. But trying to get high school students to like draw that bridge down a little bit, to like see something new, especially in peers that they don't know very well, is really quite remarkable. So from here, we sort of like move into graphic design and using Adobe Illustrator. And some of the examples that I'm sharing with you are of great accomplishment of using Illustrator to create vector graphics, which are lines that are going to be based on mathematics. So the embedded mathematics that we're using in our class is sort of like right in the art itself. They're using geometry all the way through and through. I don't think they actually know it half the time, but they're using it because they're having to map it. And they're having to map points from one area to another, understand that that coordinate's located right here, and then also establish all the layers, and then give them a naming nomenclature so that they can find it again. I really try to find ways, in unique ways, to like hide the math, although it's always happening right there in front of them, especially when we're using Adobe Illustrator. These are more examples of where they're having to plot points and create values based off images that they have photographed. These are really more formative than anything else. They learn how to use Illustrator by doing something as rigorous as this. There's not really a shortcut. It's really just you have to jump in and create the entire composition. We also do things in InDesign and digital portfolios, but I think what I have to share with you are some of the package designs that we have created. So many times, this is a favorite project for students, is that they like to do package design for cereal boxes or for bottled water. But the album covers, like old vinyl album covers, they really like doing this because I bring in the albums. I have a record player in my classroom. It's tangible to them. It's not Spotify. It's not Apple Music where you're just really engaging with like pretty much a little small graphic. This is like you're holding on to it. You can smell it too. And like they all get to open it up and they understand the packaging. And we get to examine them and create based off this type of very visceral experience. And these are a few examples of some really tremendous designs using an array of different techniques and tools to be able to create these. This one is from this year, and I'm really excited about this album cover because I really think Blaze Foley is a fantastic musician.
I'm just surprised that a high school student even knows who Blaze Foley is.
Yeah. Some of these kids are pretty hip to like you know, Blaze Foley, right on. This is cool. So, and from the album covers, because we're still thinking about package design, we explored VIP passes and also concert posters for the albums as if it was an album release. And this is an example of a concert poster that a student has made for the Monkey House. I don't even know if it's even around in Burlington anymore. It was pretty much a fictitious sort of like exercise in graphic design, but to think about how to start using new techniques. And on this design, what's unique about it is that they didn't use a house font, a font that came with the software. They're cutting letters out of a magazine and scanning this and manipulating that in the computer and then adding it to the elements that you already see here already. So using different methods, some analog technology or analog work along with digital work. Right, so I think whenever it starts creating that synergy, things get really exciting. What's also exciting is that we started to use the laser cutter, which is located in here, to take our sort of mathematical lessons about pointing plots on a sort of artboard in Illustrator and seeing what a laser cutter would do. And on the right-hand side is a small example of what we were able to create, but I also have, I'll load slowly, they were also able to sort of create these plots in Illustrator so that they could send it to me and I can now print it on the laser cutter, which I think is pretty fantastic. It's sort of a new thing for us. So this is a little bit about new. How do I add in more time with the laser cutter into my curriculum? And I think that that's a really fantastic sort of growing area for us. Additionally, we did one project where we looked at the topography of Sabin Pond, and we looked on the far left, we have what the sort of topography would look like at the bottom of the lake, so the lake depths. And then in the middle image, or the image graphic that you're seeing there, is the topography of the surface area, the land mass. And the image on the right is sort of the contour of the pond itself. So each one of these were sort of researched, created to scale, placed together, and then it's like, let's throw it into the laser cutter, and what we get to make is something that looks a little bit like this. So we had a piece of green plexiglass and a piece of acrylic that was painted blue, so that we could etch onto those the topography of the land masses as well as the sort of surface area below. This is sort of a lesson in printmaking more than anything else, because they all had to register together perfectly. All three of those designs, so that they could be cut and then etched, and then slide in the new piece to etch that. So every Friday we work on independent projects, which is a project that they self-assign, something that they create for themselves. And there is sort of a sort of process for like how they need to manage their time on each Friday. And there's check-in points every week. So they take on different things and different learning obstacles. And one of which from this year has been game design. And this student has created a whole cosmology of a universe of the land masses, different places that you can like inhabit, characters that they've created. It's actually kind of grown out of control at this point. And like, because I don't know how it all works, and like they've kind of created something quite enormous. This is also a student who's recently got into the Maine College of Art and Design with like an $80,000 scholarship. They're just phenomenal. But like they've kind of like created like this behemoth of a project. And I'm like, I don't know how all these moving parts work. This is a great problem to have. It's a really great problem to have, but they're working towards this. I don't think that this one here, it might play. It's a short little animation or how the game would start playing and how a character would move through the game. It's based off 1980s tech, based on pixel art. So the characters would move kind of in a two-dimensional space rather than games that feel like your first-person action. They like the sort of like retro 80s, like Atari and early Nintendo sort of space. So that's the gameplay in which they're sort of working in. Also, students can do a whole host of other things, and I won't necessarily show this video, although I think you have access to the notes, and you could probably screen this on your own, is that at the bottom of the slide, there's a link to a video where a student scanned an image and printed it, rescanned it over and over again until it started to lose its recognizability, its recognition of what it might be. It's kind of an interesting sort of process. He just wanted to break the image down over and over again, and he created the sort of animation of breaking down images of us as a class, like early childhood photos. So where we're going next, some of this is sort of like the sort of current and the past. There are students in my program that have just been recently selected and received a scholarship to Norwich University to study communications and design. And I mentioned that there's a student, the one that was doing the game design, going to Maine College of Art and Design on scholarship. So that's a new piece of graphic I get to put into this slideshow, is the Maine College of Art and Design. I think this is my first student to go to Maine College of Art and Design. But the Champlain College of Art is also some place where many students end up going, as well as the University of Vermont or Mass Arts, which is a very popular place for the students. Sort of moving forward into next year, in addition to all the things that we currently do already, we're going to be adding and working with the future business leaders of America to allow my students more opportunities to work either within the community or across different programs, and to be able to earn a CTSO certificate by competing in one of their competitions at their yearly event in Norwich. And this is more probably for thinking about all possible things that happen in terms of technology, just sort of staying on top of like what's currently available for students, because the Adobe Creative Cloud is quite pricey for many students. And I try to present them with some less expensive options whenever they leave here. So using and adapting to the Affinity Creative Suite, which is open. It's not really open source. It's free. It's owned by Canva, but there is vector graphics that you could create in there. And there's also a photo editor that you could be using. Things that are comparable to what we're doing in class, but it doesn't come at a cost. So as students traverse out of my program, I try to find ways to keep them connected to everything. Thank you.
Your students, are they able to do, I don't know, do they do co-ops in the second year, or is that a thing for you guys?
Not necessarily. What many students do is either move and apply to videography, because that's a very comparable type program. That's similar skill set that we're using. So they'll go to videography, or they, if they're seniors, apply to go to college. Many of them do. And not always into a creative field such as graphic design. Sometimes they go to, I had a student 4 years ago, criminal forensics. I'm like, all right, that's interesting. Go for it. I'm like, I'm all for it. Like, keep going. Just keep going. It's a great question.
What about internships?
Internships, I think that I haven't really investigated a lot with what is possible with internships. I try to keep an ear to what's going on in the community to find placement for my students, whether it's like employment or through an internship. So I try to keep an open ear to as many different things as possible.
Sometimes your class does projects for actual.
Yes, we do that as well. Yeah. We've worked with the Poetry Society of Vermont. We've done several projects with the Berry Area Partnership. So we've done a couple different things that are sort of like connected to the community.
Really impressive.
They're very talented.
Wow.
Thank you. They are really talented. They kind of make it easy. Yeah, they do. They're great.
What, do they start, is it a 2-year program or it's one?
It's just a 1-year program.
1-year program, okay.
But we have our videography teacher here to present tonight as well, so that's the other year. They could do them in any order now. It used to be progressive.
So have they stretched your learning?
I don't know a lot about game design, but that's all things that I have to learn. They come up with the projects, especially their independent projects, and then I just have to just keep adapting and learning as fast as possible. They keep me on my feet. It's great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, videography is next.
Yeah, Carlos, do you need anything?
I think I could present this from my computer, is that okay?
Yes.
Not my TV, but I'm gonna go over there. Don't worry about it. Permission.
You need permission.
Well, while we're waiting, the demographics of your class, is it pretty varied as far as students?
Yeah, it actually kind of varies every year. There's not really a traditional type of student for graphic design and art, so it varies quite a bit. Who's going to be in the program?
Do you have more students from one school than any of the others, or what's the concentration?
That's a good question. I think that I probably have more students from Spalding just because of the exposure that they have
Right.
by proximity.
Yeah.
But I do get quite a few students from U32 too.
And some of the schools have some programs.
So you started it and then I was playing.
Montpelier still has
Yeah.
a program. So is that something that you can work with, or is it?
Share window, I'm trying to share window.
Sometimes there's a little bit of tension just because of proximity, because we're teaching similar things. But I don't really see that as a challenge, because I want to be able to collaborate with them. And I have some projects in mind that I could probably draw in their students at U32 or at Harwood. We can all collaborate on something collectively. That's more student-centered, less more about instructors sort of getting involved in things, something that's more about them.
Well, you could actually do that
Oh, yeah,
at a distance.
Yeah.
It came up before, so I think it'll come back.
There's no way. I can take off. So you can get more students.
What? I'm working on it.
I mean, are the students in the projects, are they all year?
They could be, that's good. They start as a one-term independent project, but if they find that they want to like continue this, they can continue it, just amend the project itself. Or if they find out that they don't want to work on this independent project any further than that one term, they can create something new, change it. I really want it to be something like that they are interested in, and that they can engage with. And I just modify what I'm doing to try to keep up with them.
Those independent projects evaluated on certain criteria as well, they're consistent with learning outcomes that you have or.
Yes. And this Friday, we are presenting our independent projects to each other. And on the screen, to be able to talk about them, they share with everybody else. That's how we do it. It is. It is. Okay.
All of the action items.
I think it was more done out of necessity because they didn't know each other. So let's talk to each other.
Well, the other thing I could do is I could bring that monitor here and just put it in front and present it from that monitor. There.
Need some help?
I just need to get this through and I thought that might happen, so I got this.
Because we're on Google and the map doesn't want to play. We have on our traveling road check board, and so that's when we go last time.
Jody will be able to translate things everyone wants to read.
If Carlos stands next to it, now. We asked her.
Everybody provides, that's on this journey panel, provides substantial feedback. And we spend 2 days.
I've marked.
Yes. So we write.
And as long as you stand next to it now.
Got it.
You have a question?
We got them.
You know, it's just the way we
Facilitate.
Well, now I'm gonna be there in a second.
Right, for the workplace, you can say, hey, you gotta do it this way.
Like Eddie said,
Still have to be like,
Where's it taken from? I mean, your last.
down in Castle.
just, no, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that we should have.
Observations, why they're selecting work for.
How often does it need to be written?
All right, I think I am ready. Does the owl see me?
Yes,
Doesn't look
yes,
like they
you.
can see it.
Just me?
I don't know if they can see it on the Zoom link.
Let's see. Hello, come on, come on. Almost. No, it's not working. Sort of, right? I stand right here.
Oh, I see it.
Is that better? Is that better? Can everybody in the
We
classroom
can see you.
All right. There we go. And it's, the owl's not capturing them?
I'll see if I can get on with my phone. Go ahead and.
Okay, so, so yes, hi, my name is Carlos Diaz, and I teach DMA videography, which is, it was a second-year program, but now it's just the alternate program, I suppose. We're not alternate, just, you know, the companion program, if you prefer, and this is always good. There we go.
So it's taught simultaneously with the other program?
Correct. All right, so source, connect. Let's see my source. There we go. Got it. Source. All right, there we go. We just got unplugged. All right, there we go. Okay. Oh, it'll be a second here. So, yes, my name is Carlos Diaz. I teach videography. So that was my classroom last year. Usually at the end of the year, we turn to pick a movie poster and we try to recreate it in classroom. So that's the poster from last year's from movie Knives Out. So we tend to play a little bit like that in our class. So just to get this out of the way, we do have, my program also offers due enrollment. I wanted to teach more than one this year, but I committed myself to too many things, and we'll talk about that later on, but I really wanted to do at least 2 or 3 due enrollments. I only got to do 1 this year. Just 1 due enrollment. As far as certifications, IRCs, we're in the process of taking the Premier Pro certification. They're gonna take it in the next 3 or 4 weeks, that certification. Last year, it was 100% pass. Everybody passed the certification last year. And this year I'm pushing for 90%. I had much more students this year than last year. So I'm pushing for 90% passing rate this year in terms of certifications. Something that we started new is I introduced a unit of podcasting. I think it's important to bring it into the fold in terms of generating income, passive income or active income, right? It's a good source. So we started a new unit in terms of podcasting. So we're bringing those elements in. And I just found out last week that I've been working on the grant for about 1.5 years or 2, and I got the grant. I finally got money from the grant to do it, right? To bring in more equipment for the podcasting, which is super exciting because we need a sound studio. And if you walk around this school, there's none around. This is 50s high, 40s high school, whenever it was named. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do any sound studio in this school. So with this grant, it's going to allow me to create just better sound and audio to control it, which I'm super excited. So another thing I've been doing for quite a few years now, but this year I've gone more in depth is bringing back 35mm negatives, right? Analog film, right? And the thing is that we've been talking about, so how do you embed more science right, into your program, right? And this is one way that I definitely do that. And I'm going deep into the science of 35 millimeter films in terms of, talking about refraction, bending of light, so optics and physics, right? So we embed that in the classroom. Students get to see and practice with their hands, applied optics and physics, like they're seeing it and doing it, right? So we do things like that, right? We explain, we go over how an image is formed, right? How is it inverted? What is the whole process, right, of this? And besides that, right, we go into the negative itself, right? This is a negative. You'll see the positive later on. We go into the negative, right, and we analyze the layers. I talk about all the layers of a film negative, right? Talk about the salts, right? The salts and all the whole process of these negatives and what's happening inside the negative. Right? And we study this very hard. But the great thing about doing this is that it's analogous to digital, because the translation is one-to-one, right? Because right now in our digital world, right, if you analyze the way that cameras are made, they're made kind of emulating the human experience, the eyes and the brain, basically, right? So when we go into this, I explain, this is our sensor in the camera. The same process is happening with a sensor in the camera, except the only difference is that negatives have cross sections, and especially in color, it has three cross sections, which is red, green, and blue. And it's the same black and it's the same salts, but they just dye one green, one red, and one blue, but they have 3 layers. So when the light hits it, it becomes 3-dimensional. And we talk about that, right? A sensor, a CMOS sensor in the camera, a CCD sensor is by nature just one plane, so it doesn't have depth, right? So the difference between analog and digital is that images that are analog tend to have this 3-dimensional quality that we can't explain, but we feel. Versus digital, that the plane is just one flat plane, it's flatter. I call it paper, right? Paper versus a paint in a museum, right? Which is 2 different experiences. So when we do that, we talk about the process of film, of developing, we talk about all the chemicals, the developers and all this, and we process the negative in classroom, not the positive, just the negative in classroom, because I can control that in the classroom. I just need a little dark tent. We put them, they learn how to put the rolls in the tank. They do the chemicals, they do their measurements, right? 1 to 4, 1 to 6. They measure the temperature and everything. They pour it and they process their negative, and then they bring it out and they're like, wow, they're floored. They're students that are really, they've been shooting a lot. I mean, they've exhausted all my rolls this year. They've exhausted everything. But we do this, and then after they've done the process of shooting negatives, we go into Sin City. For y'all who know, it's a famous graphic novel. It's called Sin City, and it's a CD world. Frank Miller came up with this story. It's a very CD world, but it's also high contrast black and white world, right? So it's a good starting point for us if we're shooting black and white films. I want them to look at the graphic novel, we watch the movie Sin City, and out of the movie they get inspired, right? This is a photo from the movie itself. It's not ours. It's a photo from the movie. They get inspired, and then students have to come up with their own Sin City image. We're using 35 millimeter film, using a light meter. They're not with a digital camera, it's a light meter. And they shoot this and they process it, and then what they get at the end is this, right? So that's one of the images that let's go back here, let's see.
Surprise, it's gone.
So, connection, source, there we go. This has to be easier.
I know.
Oh, it's because, let's go over here. Right. So that's one of the images. So that's shot with a Tri-X negative 400, ISO 400. So we talk about that. What does the 400 mean? The sensibility. And then we talk, all right, so in camera sensors, when you're on a camera and you're looking for a sensor that's 800, 1,000, it means it's more efficient in terms of taking in light. So we talk about these things, right? And this translation from analog to digital, right? Which is, it's still, they're still on par, right? So one interesting, I brought this image up because what the students did with this one is that they decided to shoot this image analog and they shot it digitally, and then they compared it to see what's the differences, what's similar, right? So, there we go. That's a different student. So there's more acuity, visually we can see it better, it's clearer, but I mean, if you see, if we print this out, there's something about it that's just really, really beautiful, right? And the screen doesn't do justice. Like when you watch it, it's just, this has something more,
depth.
more depth, more heart and soul, I think. Right, versus this, still great image. I love what they did here. And this is in the classroom, by the way. We got a steering wheel from automotive, which we love, and we have this screen behind them to create like those. Everything is done in camera, right? But beautiful, I think very beautiful regardless. Then there's another exercise we do, which I call accidentally Wes Anderson, which is a famous film director. He's known for doing symmetry, right? So we talk about balance, symmetry, color, separation, all these things. And so with the accidentally Wes Anderson, my students, we watch a movie. Right after we watch Moonrise Kingdom, we discuss Wes Anderson's and Robert Eamon's, who's a cinematographer, style of shooting, what makes a movie a Wes Anderson film, and all these things. And then my students proceed to make their own versions of Wes Anderson again in photography, right? And this is from Wes Anderson. I just put this, that's not ours. So you can see Wes Anderson's style, that's Wes Anderson. And Wes Anderson, right, color, right, the color palette. And then this is my student work, is kind of trying to imitate that, right? Work, right? And again, we use, by this point, we're using lighting, so it feels more two-dimensional. Exposure is correct. There's symmetry, there's balance in the frame, costumes. This is another example, right? You can see where from the other, it's kind of copying that sort of Wes Anderson feel to it with their images. Because I think, I really believe that, a great way to learn things, to understand things, is by replicating masters, people, right? And not only replicating, imitating, but that's something I tell all my students, is that as you're replicating, imitating, ask yourself why. Why are you doing this? And at the end of the exercise, then think about, how does that make you feel at the end? How do you feel about your image, right? And does it work or not? And be self-critical. Does this work? Could I say that this is kind of inspired by Wes Anderson? And I could say, yes, why? Because of the flat space, of color, saturation of color, the symmetry in the frame, all these things, the quirky elements, all that, and that works. So once you understand those things, then you create an archive in your mind, and that's something that I'm constantly telling my students all the time. When we watch something that we love or feel inspired by, we take it in and archive it in your head. Because at some point, you're gonna be asked, hey, can you film a scene that makes us feel it's a love story, or it's a romance, and then you can go back to that archive and remember a moment in your life when you watched something that made you feel that way. Once you have that, you copy it. Not directly, you could copy it from memory, which is a translation, not robbery. Right? I did that all the time. So that's another one, right? Kind of imitating Wes Anderson again. Black and white this time. I love it. They did to create like this effect of binoculars, they cut out it's like a cardboard cutout, and then they just shot through, which I thought was pretty ingenious. I love that when they do things like that. Same thing with this one, it's a bedroom, right? But the way the symmetry, the way that elements are placed within the room, I tell you, there's intention behind, creating that image, and that's what I want, right? That's what separates somebody just grabbing a camera and running everywhere, just taking photos and not thinking, versus somebody that takes time to, no, wait a minute. I want to bring in this book. I want to put it right here. I want you to sit here. I want the lamps. You see just the edges of the lamps right at the frame to take the exposure readings to make sure that this is not super blown out, right? Because if it's too bright on one side, your eyes are going to gravitate towards that. So there's a lot that's going on here. And I think the student, I mean, I was blown away with the student. Like, we were all, like, the student, you know, when they presented this, like, my jaw just dropped. I think that is amazing work. Like, really good. Because up until this point, I felt like they were not paying attention to those details. And when they brought this in, I was floored. I was so floored that we printed it. It was the first image that we put up on the board. Yeah. So outside of that, right? So this is why I said I wanted to do more enrollments, but I couldn't. I think I overcommitted myself this year with many other projects that involve my students also, by the way, right? So one of them is Poetry Out Loud, right? And in collaboration with the Flynn, every year the Flynn comes down to the Barry Opera House, and we host a live stream their event, their Poetry Out Loud. And this for us is kind of, I'm talking about my students. We have like about 5 or 6 cameras throughout the whole theater, all interconnected. We have headpieces. We have a editing station. We have live switchers, and we're switching live there while at the same time pumping the signal into Facebook and everywhere else, and taking photos at the same time. It's like a crazy mess that everybody loves. And the people, the Flynn, really love us, like, so much. And they've told me, like, listen, we used to pay a few $1,000s to do this, right? And we started to ask you because we honestly didn't have that much money for arts. So we needed help here. And by you doing this, it helps us so much, right? So, but the great thing is that my students, that we're all working together out there, getting to do this, and then I could guide my students and talk about, listen, if you get 2 or 3 cameras, you have a little station like this, this could be your gig, and a project like this costs, you can charge $6,000-$7,000 for something like this, right? Who knows? So this is photos of my students at their workstation, kind of using the switcher. It's like they're focused, ready to switch the camera when it's ready. And then this is like a photo from the event itself that one of my students did, one of the photographers, trained by Jeremy from last year's class. And then another thing we did this year is I manage also the Green Mountain Film Festival, the Film Slam. I run the Film Slam for them, and my students helped me. They shot the teaser trailer to get people to participate in the Film Slam itself, which it's gonna be. We're gonna see it right here. It's a very short trailer. Let me see if I have audio on this. Yeah. Teaser trailer. There we go. Turned out very nice, I think. Right, there we go. All right. We need to put sound to this. All right, here we go. Let's go back.
That's why.
That's why.
You should log off of it since you're not using it.
The what?
Or
Oh, you're right. Here we go. There we go. And then again. Here we go. That was in the classroom, by the way. That was it, like a little 40-second trailer to kind of get people like invested in the films that I've been participating. All right, so yeah, so we did that, and then after that, some of my students participated in the slam itself, and then 2 of them got selected to present at the film festival, which is very nice in the short film competition. And this is kind of them working in the classroom for this, and then those are like clips from the movie itself that they shot. This was done in the lab over there on the other side. They use it a lot. It's a great set. This is a scene from the movie itself also, and then this is kind of, it happened in the theaters. We had a Q&A afterwards with all the filmmakers. It was a very lovely activity there. We all enjoyed. And then last year, so every year we participate in Skills USA and in the film competition, and I usually win it. Like we win it all the time every year. And last year, the reason I put last year's competition is because nationally, this is important, like nationally, we placed overall 7th in the whole nation. But they got 7th because they screwed up the exams and other parts of it, the writing parts. In terms of the film itself, the film landed 4th in the nation. And the competition is, it's California, I mean, you name states, right? And there are like great movies in this competition. I'm talking about beautiful short films. And we placed 4th, which I've always placed like 10th, 11th, 12th, 20th. The 4th is like really high. We're getting close. We're getting very close. I said last year I'm going to stop doing this because I'm never going to get closer than that. But we ranked 4th in the nation. I want that to sink in. And we're talking about poor little Vermont. I'm talking about these the life, like really. But it was a great experience. So we went to Atlanta, and then so this is just a clip from the movie. I'm not playing the clip. I'm just showing the frame of the movie. It's called Queen of Hearts, and they presented it in Atlanta. They had like 10 days to create the movie themselves. And this is without the teacher's intervention, right? I'm not involved in this. My students they do this themselves. And then they present this sometimes to Jeremy's class. They give them critique, feedback. They go back and edit things differently. And they do, but I don't get involved in it. And then I wrote here, there's some beautiful comments they said. They said something, this is seriously confident work. You're not rushing to impress. You're letting the images breathe. The cinematography is dialed in. The framing is gorgeous, balanced, expressive, and totally intentional. So these are like big time directors, cinematographers, kind of judging this. And these are the things they're saying about our short film. Just kind of lovely, really beautiful. Hear that? Not even a master's program, they told me about something like that. That was very nice. So yes, so beautiful comment again. This is a confident, poetic film, embraces silence and subtlety and real maturity. The cinematography style, especially the beautiful center framing, guides the viewer through the frame. I mean, they go on and on talking about these things, so much so that a professor that was with his students with the college program of Skills USA came up to me and asked me, did your students win? Because I didn't see them up there. He said, out of all the films, I expected them, they should have placed at least 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Right? That was pretty cool. I thank them so much. Then something we worked on this year is also creating kind of more media for the program. So we created like a kind of little teaser trailer of what DMA2 is. Because I created a website, so I put it up so it's on the front page. At some point, I'll share it out so you can have the website. And this is kind of the trailer we've been working on, just adding clips here and there. Let's see. Just trying to put something together that captures the essence of what is it that we do here in school. And then obviously we were invested, we did all the promotion, you know, with marketing team, we worked very hard on doing all the videos, all the video work for the Bondo, which was for they loved it, they understood what they needed to do, right? They felt like responsible, so I think they put in, you know, a lot of time and effort into creating something that was very cohesive and beautiful itself, I have to say. Even the marketing, his name was Nick. Nick was super impressed with the student work here. Like, it was really good. So we did a lot of that also. So we ran all the marketing videos for the tech center. And this was one of the videos we shot there. It's very short, right? And it had voiceovers, had other things.
We are leaving
Very pretty, like very visually beautiful. I
Yeah,
think.
I was the voiceover for that.
You were the one actually, yeah, I hear your voice. Yes, PTSD, man. PTSD, my friend. Yes, right. So, so yeah, and then now, last year we did with the Vermont Humanities Council, we did the Vermont Book Awards. They do it at BCFA, the college, right? And they do it at the chapel. But the chapel, the lighting is horrendous, like really bad. And they want something upscale and plush, like for that night, for the event. So they asked me last year, can you come in and kind of light it with your lights and make it kind of beautiful and kind of more upscale? And so we did that last year. And this year we're going again to light the event again. It turned out very pretty. And we're going to be at the, you know, at the college green. And then with U32, we are working. Their new plays, Romeo and Juliet. Peter Gold is directing this.
Oh, really?
Yes, Peter is directing this, and Peter contacted me. Peter sees something huge and kind of out there, and he wants multi-projections. He wants projection mapping onto the sets with multiple cameras and things like that. So he invited me, and I'm doing, my students and I, we're doing all the camera work and projection imagery for Romeo and Juliet, which is my first. And the great thing about working with U32 is that I've always told Jody, I want to be more connected to communities and servicing, right? While we're teaching and learning, but interacting with the community. And this is where I want to be, especially with the theater kids, so they get to know us and what we do in our programs here, right? Because I don't know, but those theater kids, if they want a good portfolio, they should come here and get filmed here. I'm just saying, like, if I was a theater person, I would come here for a year and then get my demo down. That's what I would do. So that is my intent, also collaborating with kids from U30 to get to know the community over there. I'm talking to Erin so that maybe next year we create a workshop in which, you know, acting for the camera. So my students over there, she's teaching acting. I'm teaching my students how to frame for acting for blocking. That is the sort of thing that we want here.
Yeah, you did something with the Spalding Theater in previous years.
I did, but I think this is like next level, that we're taking it to next level with this. And yeah, that's it. Questions? All right, does the owl have any questions? All right, thank you.
Keep up the great work. Building those collaborations is critical to our future.
I think so too. I agree with you with that. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So professional, you're so professional. Just talk to us.
Yes.
I can't believe I have to follow that.
No, I can't believe I have to follow Jeremy.
So you have, I'll try to be really quick. Superintendent's report, I think the thing that I forgot to say is 194 students got accepted in our first round of admissions, not counting co-op because they go through a longer process. So that's really good. We have our next round of admissions. Those students are coming in next Friday. And We have 70 first choice applicants in the second round. So we're a little lighter than the last couple of years. Overall, we have 373 applicants so far. Last year, we had just over 400. The year before, we had 382. So we're still right around the same piece. And one of the reasons
Can you say the number again, 300 what, 12?
373 total applicants so far this year in the first two rounds. And I think it's a little lighter too, because any student who went to Vermont last year, I told them they did not have to be denied from here again to go there again, that they were welcome to continue if they were experiencing success. And if they wanted to come back, they should certainly apply. So I think that is a little bit of the number difference. And I also wonder about experiences of not getting accepted if that meant that folks didn't try again. And so some of that might be in our CLNA data as well. I'm just excited about the new hires that you've got on your docket tonight. National Technical Honor Society inductions were last week. It was beautiful and under an hour, which is always lovely. And great food from Baking and Culinary Arts. And then I just talk about a bunch of the collaborations. Also last week we had 3 students go to a heritage competition for the Heritage Challenge for Automotive, and our students team placed second. So they did a great job. Skills USA coming up next month. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
You too, Jeremy. You don't have to stay.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to miss
my presentation. Come on.
Miss it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when will we meet the assistant director, for example, in person?
Excuse me?
When will we meet the assistant hires in person? Will we?
Probably in August.
Right.
They don't start till July
Right,
1.
of course, right.
Well, we haven't approved the hires yet, so they're not.
But you got to meet the early childhood
I
educator.
know, but she's gonna,
Juliana was in the room for the final rounds of the assistant director, so we got
Wow.
some board input this time, which was great. Thank you both.
but we're gonna start though, the early childhood, aren't we gonna finish up the rest of the year with the early childhood?
They're going to be able to do, they're not giving up their current contract, they're not breaking that,
Okay,
but they will be able to do some work. Yeah.
okay, great.
I'll be quick as well. Current human resources updates, pending the approval of all the recommended candidates tonight. We have 1 posting for our lab assistant, that's to support the early childhood education program. Right now it's posted internally. We have 4 lab assistants right now, and I just wanted to give them the opportunity to have at it first. I'm giving it until the beginning of April, and then I'll have it externally. Financial updates, last month we talked about getting I say VCIC, but it's a Vermont Crime Information Center audit. We do background checks, we have to have fingerprints, we have to go through like the FBI and all these extra steps that we need to take. We had an audit, and we are perfectly fine, we are in compliance. The audit will be again at some point in the next 3 years. So that's great. We're wrapping up our spending for this fiscal year. Our plan for any remaining funds is to kind of invest in technology. The lead times for the equipment is pretty lengthy, like 2 to 3 months. We always need an additional set of Chromebooks for our new students, but we have 1 new program and 1 expansion of a program, so we really need that sooner than later. So we are going to expend whatever funds we have left to make sure we get those pieces of equipment. Some other things is stuff for classroom spaces. Again, we have to fully outfit 2 additional classrooms, so it might look like we have a little bit of money left right now, that's just over $400,000, but whatever's not expensed, I can end up using it, just to let you guys know. budget was approved. With that approval, we were able to post more positions. The adult education position, that's a new one. The early childhood education is new. The lab assistant is new to support that. And we're also, you'll see later on tonight, we're going to issue a request for proposals for the new dust collection system that we need for the trains to support electrical students being in there at the same time.
Are you sure you can get that done this summer?
Yep, I'm gonna suggest, we have some dates in here, for suggested dates of when to start. They need to start when school's done after July 1st, and they need to finish for the second week in August. They have 6 weeks to come in and get it done. It has to be done.
And you put the proposal out?
I needed to be approved tonight. I've had one company that came at the beginning of last school, or this school year, and gave me a quote, and so that's why I needed to write it into the budget. I think where it's gonna be just over that 40,000 mark, so we need to go out to bid.
Okay, so you're confident in that number?
Right around.
Okay, good. Good.
I did have this vendor come back to me and ask, well, what number do I have to do, should I be in order to not go out to bid? I said, that's not very kind, you should offer me your lowest price of all the time, and not that.
You're gonna have to go
So
out
we're
to
going
bid.
out to bid, so we're going out to bid, and if they'd like to bid on it, they can, but.
Yeah, good. But there are several firms that do that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So we will see.
Cool. What else do you want to do tonight?
Next up, we have second reading for all of the policies that we read back in February.
Can we accept them as a?
We can do a second read, we can accept them as a slate for a second reading. We can second read and adopt as a slate. Up to you. So we could just second reading and then adopt next meeting, or we could do both this meeting.
I move that we have a second reading and adopt for the slate of policies.
Second.
I just have a point of clarification. How about that 6.2 sick bank MOU? That's not included.
No, that's
Okay,
not
good.
part of the slate, that's a
Okay,
new
good.
thing.
Do we have a second on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Thank you, Jan. All those in favor of adopting the slate for the second reading?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. Juliana, do
In
I
the
need to
past,
say
we had-
abstentions?
We had a sick bank MOU a while ago, and when the contract was negotiated, it didn't allow for a rollover into that sick bank. And so one of the reasons we had that was because we wanted to have like a minimum number. And we've now gone below that number again, due to staff need. And so the union advocated that we work together again to put that into place with the hopes that we make sure there's a way to ensure that rollover in the future, or that people can donate. So it's back on the docket. It's very similar to the last time we did this MOU.
Any questions?
I have a question. Do you feel that it worked well and did what it was supposed to do?
Yes.
And your recommendation would be to just renew it?
Redo it, and then when the negotiating team goes back to the table to make sure that it gets into that one.
So, did we just not, did the union and
Correct. Yeah,
We just-
nobody's at fault.
just forgot?
It just
So,
got missed,
all right,
yeah.
mental note.
Yep.
Well, I move that we accept your recommendation to enter into the MOU.
I'll second it.
What was that?
I can't? Okay, I can't second it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Now we gotta vote on it. All in favor of accepting this recommendation? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? Passes.
Before you leave today, let's have you sign it.
I'll sign it.
Since you'll be signing
Make
this.
sure I don't race off.
And then I move that we put out the RFP.
Second.
For the collection system.
Yeah, I know, I'm thinking about it. Wonder if
Any
there was
discussion?
Any
You call for
discussion?
discussion.
Any discussion about that?
Any thinking about it?
Yeah. Okay, now we can vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? I see Jen over there. Good.
No, stop it.
It's not too late.
You're doing it.
Okay, what kind of action do we need to approve these hires?
You can also do those as a slate.
But did we pass the dust collection?
That's what we do.
We did,
They
yes.
said yes? No, I know, but I didn't have say. I move that we approve the hiring of all of the whole slate of fabulous candidates who have been selected for these positions.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? You don't have any second thoughts, Jody?
No, did you see those candidates?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm just asking.
It was tough. We had final round applicants on, so 3 of the 4 positions, there were multiple applicants in the final round, and it was tough.
Okay.
It was great.
Yeah, good.
An impressive slate.
Those are the best. Excellent. Okay, all those in favor of hiring all of these candidates as a slate of candidates?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none? Congratulations to all of them.
Yeah, I have it.
And
You can do an onboarding program for all of them? Do you do that for everybody at the same time or individually?
It will be a little slightly offset this time because one of them is starting before July 1. 2 of them will be, even though the contract says July 1, 2 of them will start on July 1 as their administrators. And then the final one will come in August for the new teacher training,
Okay.
which they've been a teacher for over 15 years, so they're just gonna get acclimated here.
They're coming from Massachusetts, huh?
Yes, they lived in Vermont for a
They
while.
live here for a while, but they haven't been teaching in Vermont.
Where they work, they have had apprentices. So
Okay, okay.
they're teaching, it just looks different, right?
It does.
Jody,
Yes.
what are we doing to kind of celebrate the students who participated in the classes while people were going through their kind of the candidates were going through
We
their
thank
demos?
them. And sometimes if it's outside of their program day, they get community service hours as well. So for instance, we had 2 students who were on the assistant director hiring committee that were with us all day. Even though the program was done and every other student was out of the building, they were still here.
Great. Students are great.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the assistant director interview, they were in the original first round interview. For teachers, they were in the teaching part of it. So the second round is a teaching interview. And so the candidate goes in and teaches a group of students. So for the plumbing candidate, they taught in the plumbing classroom. And for the early childhood, we took students who are going into the program next year and some students from exploratory, and the candidate taught to them.
And the exploratory students really jumped in. I mean, they really participated. So that was also great to see.
Yeah, I'll tell you, our hiring process is amazing. I think
That what?
our hiring process is amazing, how much we've grown it in the past, I'd say probably 2 years, but specifically over the past year, of making sure that teachers are in the classroom and we're seeing them within more people on our hiring panels. We have students who community members, we have board members. And really this final interview with Jody and I and sometimes somebody else, we go through some of the nitty gritty, like technical things. Like this is what your insurance rate is going to be. This is how much you're gonna make in your salary. Like, so they have all the information before we're offering. So we're trying.
So we were able to settle the issue with whoever the person was, or maybe they didn't get hired, that they wanted a certain amount, that was, somebody wanted more. What?
That's all set. Yeah, that was all taken care of
Yeah.
during our meeting.
You saw the nomination for where they landed.
Yeah, it's all in the program. So very professional
Thank you so much.
way of going
Yep.
it through the hiring process. And I think it's gonna work out really well.
Well, I really appreciated having Jenna and Juliana take part in it too, so that hopefully if there's something that either one of you saw that you had questions about, that you would express as that concern or share with us your thoughts about it, if there's something we could do to improve it.
I thought it was a great process. I felt brought in by the team who was there to be part of that process, you know, to be kind of the fly on the wall. I mean, even I was a fly on the wall. I did not say a word. You know? I just was just so impressed. It's perfect.
She got the fun one. She got to watch the teaching area.
Good you were there. Okay, it's past 8 o'clock, but do we want to discuss any of the future agenda items?
I added board retreat in there with the development and goal setting. Because we had tabled that earlier.
Good, good. We will do that in June
Or August,
or August. Well, we'll discuss it, well, maybe we'll discuss it in June.
maybe.
We will see. And reflection and summary of meeting and next steps. Well, I thought the meeting was great. I love the presentations. Thank you very much for having that. And I
I
look
moved
forward to culinary arts in April. You wanna adjourn?
I love that we adjourned.
Second. And we don't have to vote on it.
Meeting has adjourned.